8 phrases that scream you're dealing with a narcissist. You ready? Let's dive in. Hi friends, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Tammy M. Joyce. I'm the founder of Tammy M Coaching, and I run a powerful 8-week transformational coaching program called the Freedom Class, specific to healing and recovery from codependency and narcissistic abuse. If you'd like to learn more about the possibility of becoming a coaching client, there's a link in the description below this video where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. You know, people always tell us who they are, and usually pretty early in the game. The trick is to be paying attention and tell ourselves the truth about what we're seeing, hearing, and feeling. When we're armed with the right information, and we're willing to tell ourselves the dirt honest truth about what people are telling us about themselves, we're much more able to discern whether or not we're dealing with someone who is coming from a good, genuine, sincere, and authentic place versus someone operating from a fake persona behind a mask and often with malevolent intent. Here are 8 phrases that will help you discern who and what you're dealing with early on. 8 phrases that literally scream destructive narcissism. Number 1, I've never met anyone like you before. Now, this is the kind of thing that a narcissist will say to you early on when they're quite literally love bombing you. And they do this with intent to get you hooked and fast. And of course, there can be times when we meet someone and feel a deep connection right away. But in most cases, real healthy connection is something that takes time to develop. So for sure, it's possible that you'll meet someone who immediately feels a genuine sense of admiration and respect for you and wants to express that. But that's not what's going on when a narcissist prematurely declares their intense feelings or undying love for you. The narcissist doesn't actually have a genuine sense of admiration or respect for anyone. Rather, the narcissist only sees the reflected projection of their false persona, initially, which quickly transitions to the reflected projection of their disowned shadow. And that's when things start going sideways. In order for the narcissist to hook you as a captive audience and a reliable source of narcissistic supply, you'll likely hear the words "I love you" very quickly. And the bottom line is this: premature declarations of intense feelings, or love for that matter, and moving way too quickly in the early stages of a relationship, any relationship, are big red flags. So don't be flattered by any of this, especially if you have a history of attracting empathy-impaired and highly manipulative partners. You'll want to pace yourself and take your time getting to know who you're dealing with before you allow yourself to be swept up in what could end in utter disaster. It takes time to get to know people, so take your time and pay attention while you're at it. Number 2, you're so insecure. When you start paying attention to your gut instincts and all the things you're observing that just don't seem to add up, and all the holes in all their stories, as well as the rationalization and justification nonsense they use in an attempt to distract you from the real issue and deflect attention and responsibility away from themselves, suddenly the issue will have to be that you're so insecure. Otherwise, who or what might actually be the issue, right? So they shift blame while deflecting and projecting all of their own issues, insecurity, and feelings of inadequacy onto you in an attempt to avoid having the light of truth shone on who they actually are and what they've been up to. No matter what has gone on, they'll make the situation all about you and your being so insecure or otherwise problematic, as opposed to facing and dealing with the real issue at hand. And the truth is, honest, sincere, genuine people don't need to scapegoat you by playing these emotionally abusive and sick psychological games. But for a narcissist, there's no other way. The survival of their false persona depends on you and your so-called insecurities being the problem. And along these lines, you'll also hear phrases like, "You always make such a big deal out of nothing," or "I can't believe you think this," or "believe I did that." And another thing you'll often hear is, "That's in the past. How long are you going to stay bitter? Get over it already." And they do this with deliberate intent to destabilize and invalidate you and cause you to doubt yourself. And this is especially true if you're an empath, because you'll have a natural tendency to go within and question yourself as well as your own behavior and motives. Since you would never deliberately deflect responsibility, blame, shame, and project onto another human being in this fashion, you'll naturally assume that the person you're dealing with wouldn't either. But if you're dealing with someone with a destructive narcissist personality pattern, you couldn't be more wrong. Everything is about them, except, of course, their mistakes, shortcomings, and their damaging and destructive behavior. That, according to them, has to be all about you. Believe it or not, deep down, narcissists are malicious and operate from a fundamental place of malevolent intent. They rather enjoy intentionally shaking your sense of security until you are entirely dependent on their version of reality, as if it's the gospel truth. They enjoy causing you to question yourself and your perception of reality. They want you to doubt yourself and what you know is true. And if they can get you to believe their distorted version, bullseye. They've got you. And this, my friends, is how the narcissist works to gaslight you. And if you want to learn more about gaslighting, you can watch this video here. Number 3, you're too sensitive. Now, this of course follows suit with the previous phrases you'll hear from a narcissist. And you may even be noticing a pattern here. The underlying theme is this: the fault and the blame and the responsibility and the issue will always and forever be you. You're the issue. You're so sensitive. You're so emotional. You're such a drama queen or king. And of course, you're overreacting. Again. Narcissistic people will not under any circumstances own up to or accept responsibility for their toxic and hurtful attitudes and behavior, unless, of course, you've had enough, and they're in real jeopardy of losing what they know full well is a good thing. In that case, they may temporarily pay lip service if it serves to manipulate you and suck you back into the dysfunctional dynamic. Only then might they be willing to say just enough to manipulate their way back into your good graces. They'll say the bare minimum in terms of owning up to any pain or discomfort they may have caused you or others. Barring their being in jeopardy of losing you for real, and they don't have another source of supply already lined up, and assuming they're feeling pretty confident and comfortable in the relationship, then you can count on the fact that they will always say whatever it takes, no matter how untrue, cruel, or bizarre, to get you to believe that you're at fault because you are too something. You're too insecure, too needy. You're too much of this or too little of that. You're the issue because you have issues, and therefore it follows that you're to blame for everything. In addition, they'll feel entitled to target you and put you down publicly, and possibly even go so far as to try to humiliate you in front of others, and then have the audacity to gaslight you by telling you that you can't take a joke. Again, you're just too sensitive. That's the real problem. Then they'll do everything possible to rationalize, justify, minimize, and make excuses for their harmful behavior. They'll cut you, rub salt in the wound, and then ridicule you for having a feeling about it. Then they'll send you down the crazy-making rabbit hole of, what are you even talking about? What's wrong with you? If you let them. Don't let them. Number 4, don't let it go to your head. In the case of any potential success in your life, the narcissist will have to throw shade on it. Sure, they may temporarily pretend that they're happy for you, especially if others are watching, but don't kid yourself. Deep down, they're not at all happy for you. In reality, it's far more likely that any good thing that you've got going on will trigger their pathological envy. So no matter what they say, sad as this may be, you can be sure that they're not exactly celebrating you, any success you've worked hard for and earned, nor any good fortune you've attracted into your life, unless it serves them somehow. Narcissistic people are rarely for you and will typically be against you and what you're working so hard to accomplish. The thing with narcissists is this: if you win at anything in life, you'll likely outshine them, and they cannot abide even the possibility of you outshining them at all, in any way, big or small. So secretly, they actually want you to fail. They want and quite frankly need you to be less than, if only in their own mind, because you being less than keeps them comfortable. At their core, they carry deep feelings of shame and inferiority, and they'll project this deeply buried shame and very real sense of inferiority onto you in an attempt to prop themselves up with a false sense of superiority. So don't be fooled by the phony facade. In spite of outward appearances, they feel inadequate and are green with envy. This is why they find ways to diminish, thwart, and even sabotage any progress you're making. They'll even go so far as to say something like, "You'd be nothing if it weren't for me." They actually want to take credit for your hard work, your gifts, your talent, your effort, and accomplishments. Can you imagine being so emotionally and psychologically sick as to actually think, never mind come right out and say, that another human being would be nothing if it weren't for you? Imagine going through life with this kind of delusional and utterly toxic mindset, and you're the crazy one? Now comment below and let me know whether or not you're finding value in this video. Let me know in the comments section below. Also, if you'd like to learn more about the possibility of working with me in one of my coaching programs, there's a link in the description below where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. This is for you if you're ready and able to invest in yourself and your healing and recovery journey. If you want the pain to stop, you want to find a way out of the fog, confusion, self-doubt, fear, and anxiety brought on by having been exposed to empathy-impaired emotional manipulators who feel entitled to hurt you, and worse yet, blame you for the hurt they cause. If that's you, the link is in the description below. Number 5, what do you want from me? This is a phrase often used by someone who is pretending to feel victimized. And the narcissist will pretend to feel victimized anytime someone else has a legitimate want, need, or desire that requires setting a limit or a boundary. In other words, the fact that you have healthy and legitimate wants, needs, and desires of your own, that you have reasonable limits and boundaries, well, this will be an issue for the narcissist, guaranteed. How dare you expect them to show up when they say they will, do what they say they would do, when they said they would do it? How dare you expect them to say what they mean and mean what they say? Who do you think you are? This too, of course, will be all your fault. Remember, blame shifting, deflecting, justifying, rationalizing, and projecting are standard operating procedure for narcissistic people. And this boils down to the fact that they are fully, fundamentally, and constitutionally incapable of accepting and owning responsibility for themselves, their choices, their attitudes, and the consequences of their behavior. Number 6, I didn't say that. It should be clear by now that a narcissist is running their own agenda. And that agenda includes keeping you in a state of confusion, fear, and insecurity, while keeping themselves in a perceived position of superiority. And in order to accomplish that, they'll go out of their way to knock you off balance and keep you there by saying things and then fully denying they ever said the thing. And when confronted with the facts, including any black or white evidence that you might have in your possession, narcissistic people will often maintain that they didn't say that. They'll try to convince you that they didn't say what they know full well they said and you heard. Or when they're left with no alternative, you took it wrong. They didn't mean it that way. And of course, you misunderstood and are getting it all wrong again. And the truth is, covert narcissists play this game a lot. And if you want to learn more about covert narcissism, you can watch this video here. Number 7, it's your fault. So when a relatively healthy and empathic person has a legitimate reaction to the pain the narcissist inflicts, whether it be one big shocking attempt to gaslight you or some colossal lie you've uncovered, for example, if they've lied to you about something, either outright or by calculated omission, any lie, big or small, and the discovery of that lie naturally has a negative impact on your relationship, no matter what has gone on, it will be all your fault. According to them, you'll be to blame for, if nothing else, not being able to handle the truth. And this, of course, will be because you have issues. Crazy making, soul destroying stuff, but this is the reality when dealing with narcissistic people. It doesn't have to make sense. As long as they can sidestep responsibility, they're good. And here's what's true. No matter what they say to you, no matter how they spin, twist, or distort reality or rewrite history to suit their own needs, you, my friend, are not responsible for the destructive way that they show up in your relationship. You are not now, nor have you ever been, responsible for another person's choice, actions, behavior, or attitude towards you or anyone else, no matter what they say. You're responsible for you. Period. Number 8, you're so damaged. A narcissist will manipulate you into believing that you're safe with them, so you share your heart and your history, only to then use your disclosures as ammunition against you. It feeds their sick little ego to hone in on your history because it takes the focus off of their present. They want you to believe that you're damaged goods, you're not whole, you're unworthy, because you are less likely to leave if you're buying the nonsense. If they can keep you believing the lie that you're not good enough and sell you on the notion of just how fortunate you are to have them in your life, how grateful you should be that they pay any attention to you at all, they've got you where they want you. You're a reliable source of narcissistic supply, and that works for them. The problem with this, and the reason this works at all ever, is that anyone who has suffered this type of emotional and psychological abuse for any length of time may actually come to see the narcissist as a higher power in their lives. When we put another human being on a pedestal and see them as above ourselves, we are quite literally making them a higher power. And highly empathic, untreated codependents, especially those with a history of being cast as the family scapegoat, will do this with family members, as well as friends, bosses, and romantic partners. If you believe that the narcissist is a power greater than yourself, with more value and therefore authority over you, your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and decisions, if you've fallen for the illusion that the narcissist is the bearer of truth and that you're as unworthy as they say, and therefore you should be grateful to receive anything from anyone, ever, you're in big trouble. First of all, never make another human being a higher power in your life. If you've done this, don't be hard on yourself. It's a side effect of long-term exposure to emotional manipulation and narcissistic abuse. And you can heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, but it's up to you to make the choice and actually do the work. Regardless, if you're looking at anyone in your life as a higher power, you've got work to do. It's time to give yourself the gift now. And with that, I'm going to call it a wrap. But before I go, how can Tamiam Coaching help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell to make sure you get my new video every Friday. Number 2, watch my free web class by clicking on the link in the description below. You'll learn about my personal journey and professional experience through decades of research specific to healing and recovery from codependency and narcissistic abuse. You'll also learn about some powerful strategies that you can begin to use today. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and you'd like to be surrounded by a stellar community of like-minded people who are focused on solutions that actually work, you can learn more about my 8-week transformational coaching program, The Freedom Class, by going to www.tammymcoaching.com and click on Programs and Reviews for all the details. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to break free from painful relationship patterns permanently and actually make lasting progress in your healing and recovery, go to Tamiam Coaching and click on Apply Now to learn how you can become a client.